Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's Mano 777, and we're back inside of Destiny here with your weekly Nightfall Solo Strike for January 31st, 2017. It is Winter's Run. I'm going to be going over all the gear that I'm going to be using and give you a description of what we're going to do. But first, the narration.
Those fallen in the Ishtar sink on Venus? Story is they raided the prison of elders in the reef, got an Archon priest. The Queen's bounty is high, so we know it's powerful. We need to hunt this thing down before they fully restore its soul.
So the modifiers this week are going to be Epic, Chaff, where you don't have a radar, Small Arms, where all primary weapon damage is favored, Match Game, and Berserk.
It won't take them long to restore the Archon priest's soul. We'd better head for the caves.
The things that are kind of annoying are Match Game and Berserk. Because they won't stop flinching, especially because there's taken enemies that will split, they actually don't ever stop splitting. They never take a second, especially if you're using something like explosive rounds, and like get staggered so that they don't split. So something to think about. Now, one of the things I'm going to do in this opening is I am going to go through and I am going to just kind of farm these enemies for a second, because here's the deal, folks. When you get to the middle of this strike, there are two different spawns that can happen. You can either get a really nasty spawn, which is what I got, which is where there's tons and tons of ads and enemies, or you can have one where they literally spawn like a couple of blights and that's it. I've seen a couple other videos of people doing this Nightfall, and like not this particular Nightfall, but this strike with these modifiers. And what happens is essentially like some people are basically given the opportunity to skip that first section. Now, one thing that happens is if you do get the opportunity to skip that, you want to make sure you get as many points off of everything else as you possibly can. So on this one, I didn't get the good spawn, so it takes me a little bit longer to get through that middle section, but still worthwhile, still good to go. I'm not going to talk a ton in this video because the first opening section is pretty self-explanatory. There's nothing really too crazy to watch out for, except for making sure that you take out as many of the enemies as possible in the rooms, and watch your corners because of Chaff being on. You want to make sure that you're always checking your corners. Like I just check over there, make sure that no guys went over there into that spawn. There's going to be some invisible Vex. That's one of the reasons why I'm using my Titan with the incendiary grenade, just so that I can see them if they do decide, for example, to go invisible. I'm going to want to take care of those snipers up there. But after that, this area is pretty self-explanatory. Keep your distance as soon as you see some enemies that are going to be popping in. And from a distance, take them out as soon as you can. You can see there's the Taken Vex Minotaurs. So I'm going to take them out as much as possible. Again, this room is pretty easy. So just knock them out. There's going to be some splitters over on the left side. Take them out as quickly as possible. I'm actually going to pop my hammers to knock them out pretty quickly, just because I don't want to mess with them anymore. And you can see here that I do have a sight line on a lot of those enemies, so I'm going to take them out here before they're in weapons range. One thing I'm going to do to take them out is just make sure that I'm just using my primary weapon, my Cryptic Dragon that I absolutely love. Since I don't have my Hung Juries anymore, I foolishly got rid of them. But honestly, I feel like this Cryptic Dragon is rolled a lot better than the Hung Jury. It's got explosive rounds and Firefly and crowd control, which I absolutely love. Now, when you come around this corner, there's going to be a bunch of enemies, and they are going to just absolutely start wailing at you. One of the things that I could have done a little bit better is I could have been prepared. I did know that they were going to be there, so I didn't throw a grenade up there just in anticipation. So that's one thing you can do instead of what I did. Now, the next area is where I'm talking about where there will be possibly a good spawn or a bad spawn. You will see that I get the bad spawn, and you'll see how I handle the ads. I would definitely recommend having some kind of an arc weapon to take care of the shields of a couple of the final Devoured Cabal enemies, because they are tough to beat, and they shoot Axion darts constantly at you. They don't ever stop, and so you'll see how I handle that in this strike here in a little bit. But this section is pretty easy. Just make sure that you are taking cover whenever you're weak. Again, pretty self-explanatory on a Nightfall. So I'm going to let you watch the gameplay until we get to the next section.
You'll need to get through. I'll check it out.
It's not downtime. Just give me some time.
So you can see why that was not an optimal spawn. It ate up a big chunk of time. Again, there's some videos where you can see people doing this strike and they don't get a spawn at all. It's just random as far as I can tell. But I got the nasty spawn in that, so I'm going to have to work a little bit. So if that happens to you, don't be like freaked out or anything like that. You can still do a solo Nightfall run here if that does happen. Hop on your Sparrow. In addition to flying through these opening sections, I am going to farm these enemies here a little bit, take these guys out. Not too crazy. Nothing too nuts here. I basically am just farming my score as much as possible. Part of it, too, is I don't want to wipe on this section, even though all you do is go back to the beginning of this big, long road at the opening of that door. But I really don't want to wipe on this section because time is already of the essence. Hop over to a different position, and now you'll see that there are... the worst thing about this Nightfall, in my opinion, is the fact that there are all these Taken Vex enemies that will basically shield other enemies. When we get especially to the boss room, I shouldn't say the boss room, more the boss area, you're going to see a lot of times where that is an issue, where you have to take out those enemies. It's nothing crazy, it's just, you know, their basic ability to shield those high power enemies. It's a pretty nasty thing. So I'm actually knocked out all the shields to those guys. I'm going to go forward so I can get good position on them. I'm going to turn around once I'm outside of the blights and chuck a Gjallarhorn down over there and get a couple of points over there. So after that, make sure you hop on your Sparrow and get moving. You want to stay on your Sparrow for this area as much as possible. Now, if you think you'll get a gold score without killing those enemies, go right ahead. I just wanted to make sure that for this Nightfall video, I got the gold medal score for you, so you know what to do, what to encounter. Okay, this area again is actually not too crazy. There is going to be a devoured captain that is going to shoot shade at you, or throw shade at you, as I like to call it. There are going to be some enemies up in the top right, as there usually are. Those guys are pretty easy to take out if you've got any kind of a Firefly weapon that's decent and worth its time. So those guys are pretty easy to take out. And this area, the only thing you have to watch out for is there is a Vex Minotaur at the top. So you just have to make sure you watch out for that. The Devoured Captain is going to have really the only solar shield of this entire strike. I considered maybe using a Titanium Orchid or something like that that has Arc Burn. If you've got something like that, I would recommend it, because there's more Arc Burn enemies than there are Solar Burn. And I just wanted Gjallarhorn so I could fly through lots and lots of big waves of enemies as quickly as possible. Okay, that's really the only reason why I use that. Now, this leads us to the boss room, which is really the worst part of this fight, because he is a giant troll. He just throws stuff at you and constantly hides and dips and all these other things. So you kind of have to make that part of your modus operandi as well. Okay, so we're going through here, Winter's Run. We're ready to go. I am actually going to make sure I've got all my stuff ready to go. I actually considered changing to an arc rocket launcher, but it didn't happen. No big deal. So there you'll see an example of a lot of these enemies are going to be shielding other enemies. It is very frustrating, especially when they're shooting Axiom bolts at you. There's really nothing else you can do other than try and get to a different position. And that's the thing. The reason why they did the Nightfall like this, or at least this particular strike that's like this, is to force people out of these camping spots. You're going to see me going to this area over here just to be safe and to get my life back. There's also an area where you still can get underneath the large, I don't know what you'd call it, basically standing area on the top right over there by the Blight, kind of next to the ship. You can get underneath there. It's where people in Tier 1 used to basically just farm the Archon's Priest and just made that part of how they did the strike. But they made the barriers a lot smaller, or excuse me, a lot bigger, I should say, and they made the area that you can be in a lot smaller. So just food for thought. You can still get underneath there, but honestly, in my opinion, it's not worth it. I'd rather stay mobile and show you guys how to get it done ahead of time. So clear out all these enemies, and you should be good to go. Again, Chaff is on, so you're going to need to be watching with your eyes as much as possible. It's not going to show up on your radar because there's no radar. Again, see, you can see this is a perfect example of what the final boss is going to do. He's going to shoot at you a whole ton. As soon as you start getting him damaged, he's going to run and hide to cover and just sit there. And so you're going to have to choose a different angle, okay? So go up to the darkness anomaly and spawn it in. You're going to see there's a bunch of blights that are going to appear. And when that happens, I'm going to try and take out at least a couple of those blights so I can use those areas for cover. Again, this fight is not too tricky. There's essentially 3 or 4 waves. The first wave is this, where they're going to throw a couple of adds at you. I consider this part of the first wave, even though there's usually 2 waves that come here, but I just kind of put them together. There's a bunch of enemies that spawn here right at first. Make sure you take out all of the scions that split, because that's really frustrating and annoying. I just wanted to see where he was there. As soon as you can, get to a different position and start to work on getting your kills. Now, one of the reasons why I don't, like, for example, try and cheese this for any reason is I just want to make sure that I can get ammunition. The number one thing when I notice that Small Arms is on is, even though Small Arms is on and does a really nice amount of damage, the one thing is that you tend to run out of ammunition very, very, very quickly, unless if you've got some kind of a field scout weapon. So one of the things I'm going to do is make sure I stay mobile, and when I kill enemies is make sure that I go and pick up their primary weapons. This fight lasts for a long period of time, so I'm just going to let you watch it. Again, there are 3 to 4 waves. I consider the first 2 waves kind of to be the same, just because what happens is, yeah, here's the second version of it. So they spawn in more ads. It's kind of the same thing, but then he starts throwing shade at you. And one of the things that's really frustrating is he's going to start going back up and to the right. He's going to try and drag you up during the next wave. He's going to try and drag you up so he can basically take you out from a distance. So it's very difficult to consistently throw shots at him all the time. Anyways, enjoy the gameplay. You'll see him starting to move to the back. I'll let you guys watch this, and I'll see you at the end of the video. as you can see, we're coming to the end of the video. Once all those waves are gone, it's just going to be him. It's very much like the Black Spindle mission. Once you clear all the waves of enemies, he just kind of goes away and just like tries to hide from you while you can just thrash him.
I'll contact the Vanguard.
That's the Nightfall.
Know what happened.
Nothing too crazy this week in terms of like strategies. It's just a bunch. It's just basically chase down the boss.
Too bad for them. The Archon priest was better off in the prison.
So you can get the Stolen Will shotgun from this. I'm going to double check and make sure I have a slot open for my special weapon. So guys, that is the Nightfall Strike for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment down below and leave a positive rating. If you did like this video, I would love to hear any ideas from you on things that you want to watch as well. Or if you are doing the Nightfall, let me know what you got. I kind of got trolled at the end here, but again, thank you so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button for more Destiny content. Thank you so much for watching. Check out my Twitch live streams if you need help with the Nightfall or the raids, and I'll see you guys next time in the universe of Destiny.